online just now, Record Sport. There's well, I certainly think it's an interesting story. Steve Clarke, I understand, is going to reach out to the advisors, agents of Harvey Barnes, of Newcastle, to have a discussion early in the new year, I think, about whether or not Harvey Barnes wants to commit his future to Scotland and wants to come and head up our attack at the World Cup. It's a significant move because there's obviously been talk of it for a while, but it kind of went stale. It was almost like a stalemate. It was like Steve Clarke wasn't going to, bang on Harvey Barnes' door. Harvey Barnes was probably keeping, I don't know, his options open. But it's now make up your mind time. And I think that Steve Clarke, it will be his intention to open this discussion with Harvey Barnes' advisors at some point in the new year, to get an idea for if this is something he wants to do, if he wants to join up with the Scotland squad. It'll need to be a bit of a heart to heart, you would imagine. And in terms of my personal opinion on it, Dan, I think previously I said off you pop, Harvey. I might have changed position on that slightly now that we've all kind of calmed down a wee bit after Denmark. And when I say I might have changed position, that could be otherwise described as a complete reverse ferret. I'm all over this. I'm all over this. If Harvey Barnes wants to be a part of this and he wants to join up with the squad, and there's a reason that I'm all over it as well, is that Steve Clarke confirmed it when we were down at Seamill today, seeing the Scotland manager, and he's confirmed that FIFA have confirmed it'll be a 26 strong squad. So there is room, there is wriggle room. It's not going to be a case of one in, one out, and one of the guys that's tried and tested and done all the hard yards for Steve Clarke in Scotland would then miss out on a ticket to the States. Not the case. There is that extra bit of wriggle room. There is a place there waiting for Harvey Barnes. And by the way, every time you're turning on the TV, looking down south, I think he scored 4 goals in this season's Champions League for Newcastle. He scored 2 against Man City when Newcastle beat them the other week. He's on fire. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
We've got plenty of comments coming in on this already, and if you're watching at home, you want to get involved in the chat, please do so in the comments. You're loading them up. It says, get him in the squad ASAP. We need every chance of results in the USA. Harry Duncan says, get him in ASAP. Rebel says, totally sensible move. We're not blessed with striking talent. Scott simply says, get Barnesy in. Mick, Andy, I think the thing Keith says there, that no one's going to have to be sacrificed, for want of a better word, makes a really big difference. It kind of feels, to me anyway, like a no-brainer.
I think that's key, because I wrote a piece in the paper. We were asked to do a sort of for and against, myself and Scott McDermott, and I sort of took the against stance on the basis that I thought it'd be really harsh to have guys that had done so much during the campaign to get us to North America that they'd have to miss out. Kenny McLean, turns up every camp, gets maybe 10 to 15 minutes per game, but trudges along there every time. Make sure he's fit and ready to go, and then obviously scores the wonder goal that gets us there. To see somebody like him miss out, but as Keith says, if it's going to be a 26-man squad, and just I think you noticed in that Denmark game, especially when Gan and Doak went off, just were a wee bit short in pace, especially in those wider areas. So listen, if he's committed to the cause, if he really wants to come, if he's not going to use us as sort of leverage to get an England call up, or to try and blackmail Thomas Tuchel into giving him a cap down the road, then yeah, bring him along. If he's really properly committed and he wants to be a Scotland player, then yeah. But I think we have to have those assurances. Steve Clarke's going to have to sit him down, look him in the eye, man to man, and make sure that he's properly up for this, because we can't afford to have passengers here. We need everybody pulling in the one direction.
I tell you, I'm actually quite excited though. See, when you think about it, with as you mentioned there, Mick, Gan and Doak. The thought of having young Mick on one side, Harvey Barnes potentially on the other, or Harvey Barnes, I think, could play through the middle.
I've seen Mick in goals. He's bad enough there. I don't want to see him down in the left wing.
The guys have all got tremendous pace.
It's a DNA thing.
His first 5 yards over to the bar are quite quick.
But no, that's exciting, isn't it? If you've got, because we are what we are, and I think we've got a really strong midfield. defensively, we're robust enough. We've always had that problem in the final third. And then when Gannon Doak comes onto the scene, you think, wow, this boy's a potential game changer. If you could add Harvey Barnes into that as well, then we're actually getting quite nicely tooled up for this, boys, just at the right time.
Mick, does it matter to you that he's not played in any qualifiers? He's only
And has played for England, by the way, as an England cap.
For England, and there's a few people in the comments. Gianni's one saying, knowing Keith Clarke took, will name him in the England squad. A couple other people saying, Rebels saying, can you imagine England tapping him if his form continues? Does it matter to you, Mick, that he's not played any of the qualifiers? As soon as we beat Denmark, all of a sudden all the noise starts again?
Listen, I've got to admit, I was also in the camp. Listen, you've had your chance, and you can't jump in the bandwagon now. We've got to the World Cup, but there's a bit of kind of, it's like you get a knockback in the dancing. You go, I don't fancy it anyway. so it goes back around for a second lap. You think, well, actually, but you haven't right. But I get that. We're all kind of going like that. Well, actually, if you're interested, we're back in the game. So listen, he's a top quality player. He's a proven English Premier League player. He's 27 and he's peak of his career. Like you say, a Champions League performer doing the business. It would be daft if he is keen. It'd be daft to kind of not consider him. It comes down to commitment. Listen, we could get all kind of Jock Thompson's bairns and go, how Scottish does he feel? And listen, we've been here before with certain other players. I mean, we've got one of the best players in the world right now, in Scott McTominay, who is obviously an Anglo. And you look at his response and reaction after Denmark with the family and all that stuff, and it's like, I mean, bleeding tartan blood by the end of it. So if you get a bit of that kind of mentality and he taps into his kind of Jock DNA and it feels awakened, then yeah, bring him on board. If it's a bit of a kind of, I might get more money from my boot sponsorship deal, then that would maybe make me think twice. But the only way to find out is if Steve Clarke sits him down, looks in his eyes, and gets that feeling from him. So let's not discount it. Let's not discount it. Let's keep that option open until we know more about what he's thinking.
Let's not forget he did something very similar when we qualified for the Euros in 2020, 2021, the COVID Euros, with Shea Adams. Shea Adams wasn't part of the qualification campaign, but he made himself available for selection. Steve Clarke brought him in. Again, another key performer, another big guy in this squad. And there's so many now, isn't there, that have like big Lyndon Dykes, the most Scottish Australian in history. I mean, I think he's got to be clever in the way he goes about it, and he will be. Steve Clarke's not going to hand this out for like sweetie papers. He's not. He's going to have to get real assurances. He's going to have the conversation. But at the end of the day, guys, we're talking about a striker that cost Newcastle 38 million quid. If he wants to play for Scotland, then I've, as I said, complete reverse ferret on this. I'm having it.
Yeah, can't argue that, can we? Get him. I mean, if he is, he's top quality. So if he wants to play, then let's get him involved. Aye,
absolutely.